Hey, what's up everyone? Adam here with brahwegotthis, and today I'm going to go through the 10 best healer sets in the game for the Elder Scrolls Online. In these 10 sets, I'm going to categorize them in a couple ways that will allow you to know if this set is a set you want to be running on your healer based on your playstyle, experience, and overall enjoyment of the set. Before we get started, I do want to mention if you ever want to watch me heal and play live, I stream on twitch.tv/brahwegotthis on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The link is in the description. Also, if you want to join our Discord or guild, the link is in the description as well. And if you ever want to support the channel even more, you can check out my Patreon down below, where you'll see the perks like early access to videos, vlogs, polls, and get your name in every video. The link is in the description. But if you have watched my previous best sets videos, I have a Magicka and Stamina one where I break down the 10 best sets according to the easiest and hardest sets to use in the game. This one is going to be broken down a little bit different. The reason being is most of the healing sets in ESO aren't really hard to use for the most part. Healer sets in ESO need to be broken down into different categories. Those categories are beginner healer sets, late game sets or sets that you can use for any type of content, specific or niche sets, and of course actually difficult to use sets, which there aren't really a ton of these, like I said. By the way, if you want to check out my best Magicka and Stamina sets, the video link is in the description or at the top of the screen. But if you're wondering why we broke them down into these categories, then let me enlighten you. Healing in ESO isn't as hard as it seems when it comes to actually healing your members. Healing in ESO is so much more than that. It's buffing teammates, debuffing the boss, and making sure you are helping your team sustain as best as you can. Sustain means to not run out of the given resources they are using, like stamina or magicka. So when it comes to picking sets to use, finding the best combination of sets that suit your team's needs is really the end goal. Some in-game trial groups or dungeon groups may have completely different setups because they rely on different people running different buffs, debuffs, and things of that nature. So for instance, if you're doing 4-man content and you're running Worm's Raiment set, that buffs teammates with magicka-focused builds. Well, if your team is all stamina DPS, you aren't really helping them out. So there could be other sets you could use or be running that will be more ideal for the team. Also, if there's a certain debuff that your team is lacking for a fight, one of your sets may be able to provide that. And by the way, you can check out my beginner healer video in the description and at the top of the screen if you want to learn the basics of healing in the game. So this is why I will break these down into 4 categories, because one of the sets may be amazing in certain builds or situations, but terrible in others, or you may be able to provide a valuable buff or debuff that no one else can by running a set. Let's go ahead and go over the best beginner healer sets to use. And remember, there are more than 10 sets in the game for healing, so I won't be able to cover all of them. These, however, are my best 10 healer sets, so please comment below what your favorite healer set is to use, and if there's any others you think that deserve a mention. So, Armor of the Seducer, Magnus's Gift, and Kagranak's Hope are the first 3 sets I want to go over. These 3 sets are all craftable, which is why this makes these great sets to craft or have someone else craft for you as soon as you hit CP 160 on your healer. You can start doing in-game activities mostly with these sets. So Armor of the Seducer, 2 pieces adds 129 magicka recovery. The 3-piece adds 1096 magic recovery, and then you're getting magicka recovery again, and then you're getting reduces the cost of your magicka abilities by 10%. The 5-set piece bonus is amazing as a beginner player because it just adds so much sustain with the cost reduction. This set only needs 3 traits for crafting, and the table is in our guild hall. It's in Stormhaven, Grotwood, and Deshawn. Magnus's Gift is another great one for sustain because of this set ability on the 5-piece bonus. This is maximum magicka for 2-piece, max magicka recovery for the 3-piece, spell damage for the 4-piece, and the 5-piece is when you cast a magicka ability, you have a 15% chance to negate that ability's cost. This is craftable after having 4 items researched. The table is at our guild hall in Rivenspire, Greenshade, and Shadowfen. The next one is Kagranak's Hope. This is maximum magicka, magicka recovery, maximum health, and the 5 pieces adds 222 spell damage, decreases the time it takes to resurrect an ally by 25%. When you successfully resurrect an ally, you restore 1720 magicka. The decreased time in rezzing an ally is actually very handy in PvP and PvE, especially in certain dungeons or trials. This is a set you could use in the late endgame as well if you really want to, and it has great applications in other situations. This requires 8 traits to craft though, and it's in the Earth Forge, and that is unlocked after you complete the Fighters Guild main questline. You can also just craft it at our guild hall though. The Earth Forge is in Reaper's March for the Aldemary Dominion in Ralka. It's in the Rift in the Ebonheart Pact in Riften, and it's in Bankurai in the Daggerfall Covenant in Evermore. Also, pairing any of these 2 sets are solid as well. The next sets I want to go over are the specific sets that are used, not necessarily in all content, but they are great middle-of-the-road sets and worth picking up as a healer. So these are more of the niche or specific sets, you could say, but more middle-of-the-road and kind of your next step up after your beginner sets. And you could consider upgrading to these after you farm for them and graduate, if you want to say that, from the beginner sets. These sets are Sanctuary and Worm's Raiment. Sanctuary is farmable in the Banished Cells dungeon, and it adds maximum health. It adds 4% healing taken. It adds maximum magicka, and the 5-piece increases your healing received by 10% for you and up to 11 group members within 10 meters of you. This is a great set for most content, as it increases your healing received by 10% and your group up to 11 members. It's just a solid overall set that a lot of healers run when they first start out in the game or they get into the middle of the road content. The next one is Worm's Raiment, which is another group wide effect set, giving your group's magicka recovery to 11 members instead of the healing received. This is farmable in the Vaults of Madness dungeon, and what it does again is it gives spell damage, maximum magicka, magicka recovery, and it grants 145 magicka recovery to you and up to 11 other group members within 28 meters of you. These sets are solid for players starting out in normal trials or vet dungeons, but you do have to understand that, again, if your group is all stamina DPS characters, you may not want to have the Worm's Raiment set on. You could replace it with the set we are going to go over here in a little bit, or another one that you could use to help your stam DPS and tank out is Hircine's Veneer, which is from Celine's Web, and it's basically the opposite of Worm's Raiment. And yes, it gives a stamina, bonus throughout the 2, 3, and 4 piece, but I think that's fine because the 5 piece will help out your stam DPS and tanks out more than the 3, stat lines that you see there. It's just something to think about. And also with Sanctuary, there could be other sets you replace that with as well too, because there are some sets that give better effects than the 5-piece bonus of Sanctuary. The next set I think is the most difficult set to use as a healer, and that is Roaring Opportunist. This set is from the new Kind's Aegis trial. What this does is it adds spell penetration. It gives, minor slayer at all times, increasing your damage done to dungeon, trial, arena monsters by 5%. It adds 129 spell damage, and the 5-piece is pretty crazy. So after completing a fully charged heavy attack, you and up to 5 group members gain Major Slayer, increasing your damage done to dungeon, trial, and arena monsters by 15% for 1 second for every 600 spell damage or 6,300 magicka you have. Roaring Opportunist can only affect a target every 22 seconds. Minimum duration is 5 seconds. Maximum duration is 12 seconds. This set has an insane 5-piece bonus. And as you can tell, it's got a lot of words. And I think that this set is also sort of narrow as well, because if you can't use its 5-piece bonus, then you shouldn't really use it at all, because the other bonuses I don't think outweigh other sets that you could use. But if you can get solid uptimes on that Major Slayer and the other abilities of this set, then you have a lot of potential in making this a great healer set. But I think this is a very difficult set to use if you don't really know what you're doing, or if you're new to healing. But again, it is going to take some adjustment. But once you've mastered like your healing and buff rotation as a healer, heavy attacking is something you can do in your idle time as a healer. And if you can master that, this set could be really, really good for you. Now, the last 5 sets, and yes, I'm throwing in a bonus set, so that's why there's 5. These sets are some of the late in-game sets that are great for every piece of content. These aren't even that hard to obtain for the most part, but I think they are great sets to aim for when gearing out your healer, because you can use them in a lot of content. These are Olarim, Hollow Thing, Jorvold's, Spell Power Cure, and my bonus set is Winter's Respite. Let's start out with Winter's Respite. This set is farmable in the Overland of Western Skyrim, which is Greymoor. This set adds Magicka Recovery, Max Magicka, and the 5 set is casting abilities that leave an effect on the ground will create a circle of healing frost for 10 seconds. You and your group members restore 2356 health every 1 second while inside the circle. This effect can occur once every 10 seconds. The last set bonus is so freaking easy to proc, and this can honestly be good on a solo build or a healer build. You're going to leave effects on the ground all the time with the healer because of AoEs or status effects from your destruction staff. This is something that is fun to use, and it heals a good bit. You can have this up 100% of the time as long as you cast an area of effect ability. This, in my opinion, is a set that can be used in a lot in most all content. Now, you may get some people that say in vet content you can't use this for trials, and they are probably right, but this is a great healing set. The next set is Spell Power Cure. I love this set. This is sort of a mini Olorime set, which I will talk about here in a second. So, Spell Power Cure adds max magicka, spell damage, and 5 pieces. When you overheal yourself or an ally, you give the target Major Courage for 5 seconds, which increases their weapon damage and spell damage by 258. The 5-set bonus is amazing. Overhealing is something in this game that a lot of people do all the time because new healers don't understand that it doesn't take as much healing as you think it does in ESO to heal your teammates. So this set rewards you for being extra on your toes about healing. I'm pretty sure this can technically have an uptime of 100% with Major Courage if you overheal every 5 seconds, which again, I don't think is hard. This set is farmable in the White Gold Tower dungeon in the Imperial City free DLC. The next set is Olorime. This adds Magicka Recovery. You gain Minor Aegis at all times, reducing your damage taken from dungeon, trial, and arena monsters by 5%. You add 129 Magicka Recovery. And the 5-piece is casting abilities that leave an effect on the ground. In combat, will create a circle of might for 5 seconds. You and your group members in the circle gain Major Courage for 20 seconds, increasing your weapon damage and spell damage by 258 for 20 seconds. This effect can occur once every 10 seconds. This is farmable in the Cloud Rest trial, and honestly, you don't really need the perfected version. This has recently been nerfed, but is still, in my opinion, one of the best sets for healers in the game for late in-game activities. You can have great uptime numbers with this as well, and it leaves the Major Courage buff longer than Spell Power Cure, but Spell Power Cure is technically easier to farm. Don't stack Spell Power Cure with Olorime. You won't get 2 Major Courage buffs, so just keep that in mind. The next set is Jorvolds. This set pairs really, really nicely with Olorime and Spell Power Cure. It adds Magicka Recovery, 4% healing done, and increases the duration of all major buffs, minor buffs, and damage shields you apply to yourself and allies by 40%. This is farmable in Scale Collar Peak DLC dungeon. The 5-piece bonus will increase your Olorime and Spell Power Major Courage by 40%. So for Olorime, you will get an extra 8 seconds on the Major Courage. I absolutely love this set. This pairs nicely with a lot of sets. The last set and my favorite healer set is Hollow Fang. This adds Spell Critical, Maximum Magicka, Spell Critical, and whenever you critically heal or critically damage a target, spawn a ball of hemoglobin at their location. After 2 seconds, the ball explodes, restoring 25-23 Magicka and applying Minor Vitality to you and your group members within 6 meters of the ball for 9 seconds, increasing their healing received by 8%. This effect can occur once every 9 seconds. This set is so easy to proc, and it gives you an insane amount of sustain because it procs from critical damage and heals. It's just so dumb. The restored Magicka and Minor Vitality increases their healing received, and it just can be used in any content, in my opinion. This is farmable from Moongrave Fane Dungeon. Now again, remember, there are sets that I didn't mention that could be used for healers, but these are my 11 sets that I think are the best all around. If you want to comment below your favorite set or a set worth mentioning, please do. But that will wrap up the video, you all. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be doing a tank one next, and then on to some other related ones as well. Remember, you can always come by our Twitch chat and ask me about healing or anything else that you'd like to. I stream Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The link is in the description. Also, you can join our Discord and Guild. The link is in the description. And don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and heavy attack that bell icon to stay up to date on all my videos. And I want to give a shout out to all my patrons. Thank you again for being so amazing. And if you want to join the Patreon and get early access to videos and vlogs, check out the link below in the description. But until next time, y'all, have faith, be great, and I'll see you on ESO.